Let's straight away go and have a conversation with Kulin Lalbhai of Arvind Limited and understand how are we looking at the textile industry specifically in Gujarat and elsewhere in the country. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Republic TV. First up, if I could speak to you about your sector, talk to you about textile and talk to you about where we are today in the sector. And specifically to Gujarat, there are a lot of policy pushes that we are seeing in the textile industry from the government. There's a government will for a better and flourishing textile industry as well. Where are we in terms of the textile sector today? And where are we going in that trajectory as far as Gujarat is concerned?
I think we can break up the sector into the export opportunity and the domestic opportunity. Now, the context of the export opportunity is that globally, everyone is in the process of trying to decouple from China. China controls 35% of global trade. India is at 5%. So in a sense, it's a huge opportunity. Even if we can take 5% market share from China, we can double, the exports India has, which are close to $50 billion. So it's a very, very large potential emerging opportunity. I think the government of India is very aware that this is, the time where India can dramatically scale up. What we need is global scale. We need our garmenting sector to dramatically increase because people are buying garments rather than intermediate products like fabric. So we need garmenting to really become very large. And we need to diversify our basket, not just having a cotton-based product profile, but getting into man-made fiber. So knowing this, the government has tried various initiatives. They're creating Mitra parks, which are large plug-and-play infrastructure parks of 1,000 acres each. Which could, really become a plug-and-play environment for achieving scale, manufacturing scale in the country. We have the PLI, which has come to really emphasize new sectors like man-made fibers, man-made fabrics, and technical textiles. So these are some examples of how policy support is coming in for the export opportunity. And looking at Gujarat, this is definitely a focus area for Gujarat. CII, I've just taken over as CII chair in Gujarat, and one of the key themes that we are focused on is how can we partner with the government and with the local industry to really make Gujarat play a pivotal role in this scale-up of Indian exports. And Gujarat has a natural right because we are the strongest when it comes to fabrics. Gujarat has historically been the fabric producing part of the country. So how do we now forward integrate into garmenting, into technical textiles, into these new age areas? And I think the government has always been very progressive on the textile policy. We expect a new policy to be coming sometime this year. So I think within this global environment, there's a great opportunity for Gujarat to step up and scale.
Talking about that policy as well, because we are looking at a level of pushback on that. There is a lot of conversations that are going on in the power corridors of Gandhinagar. How are you looking at it? How are you perceiving it? Are there some blind spots that need to be addressed for the MSME sector in the textile?
No, I think, the way the policy making in Gujarat has always been is it's been very open, very much of a dialogue-based model where all the associations, participate. We at CII have also been on the table discussing all the aspects of the industry. And I'm very confident that finally everyone will come together and the policy has to look at all interests across the value chain. Because if the Gujarat textile industry has to go to the next level, the entire value chain needs to go in sync. We have to modernize the whole fabric manufacturing, and we have to seed garment manufacturing, and we have to seed technical textiles. So I think a holistic policy which will look at not only the segments but also MSMEs and also facilitate large-scale export-oriented companies. I think both will be required. So when you look at policy, there are a lot of things to keep in mind, and I'm very confident that Gujarat, as always, will continue to be the state that gives great policy vision and support to the industry.
In terms of the policy push and in terms of the export push as well, because we're now talking about the India growth story. We're talking about self-reliance, and not just self-reliance, but also exports to boost that, to cater to the world's demands. And as you said, Gujarat is a very key player in that. How do you see that going forward, and what needs to be addressed in terms of the small and the major players as well?
No, so as I mentioned, one of the things is how do we increase value addition? A decade ago when Modi ji was chief minister, the first thought was how do we, instead of exporting cotton, Gujarat is the largest cotton growing state, instead of moving out cotton, how do we move out yarn? And the policy at that time was very progressive, and it created almost 5 million plus spindles, which allowed Gujarat to convert all cotton into yarn. Now the policy environment has to help us scale up yarn to fabric and fabric to garment. So that's one part which is policy. But on the other side, I think even entrepreneurs need to step up and really focus on what is required for global excellence. Larger scale, better efficiencies, and full sustainability. Because if you are not sustainable, global brands are not going to look at you. So it's not just about policy. It is also about the Gujarat businessmen and entrepreneurs to step up, think big, because the opportunity is big. The world wants an alternate. The world is looking at us. This is the time to step up.
Advice to those entrepreneurs who are trying to plug in those gaps you just mentioned, that they should focus on or they should perhaps keep in mind while they're pursuing this?
I think one is challenging the status quo. What has happened in the past is not necessarily what needs to happen in the future. So we need to embrace new products. We need to diversify. We need to invest in great product design, great R&D. We need to step out of where we are comfortable. For example, Surat is a powerhouse. It produces extremely large amount of fabric at an extremely low cost. But the export potential is completely untapped. If that orientation moves outward, Surat can become a fabric capital for the entire South of Asia. So I think these are the opportunities before us. So my advice to entrepreneurs would be to think new, think big.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. And for more of such conversations, keep watching Republic Business.